You might call this odd, but to the lady involved, this is just another day. Not too long ago, she died in a car accident and found herself in a doomed world, cursed to spend her afterlife reincarnated as a pink-haired character from the very novel she had been reading while alive. Like in the novel, she ends up with the character's enormous inheritance, her role as a supporting character, and her name, Lady Sinclair. Initially, she is having the time of her life, spending money recklessly out of ignorance, until a random event reminds her that the novel was a B-grade apocalyptic survival romance novel. Refusing to accept the fate of the original character, she decides that in this world where a large amount of the population will get bitten and killed by monsters and others are turning into monsters themselves, she decides to survive until the end. This decision leads her to a shelter where she begins preparing for the apocalypse. It's no small task on its own, yet she has to add protecting her novel family and those she cherishes to her list of duties. Everything is going smoothly, until some characters start going against the original plot, and she gets entangled with them. Can she really cheat the script? Chapter 1. Before the ultimate collapse of the world, the gore, roars of monsters, and screams of those caught in the chaos, everything was peaceful. Just yesterday, this village was bustling with open markets and carefree villagers. Now look at it. For someone who should have foreseen this outcome, Lady Sinclair looks dazed. Unlike the others who run for shelter, she stays there, fixed to the floor, contemplating. She finds it hard to believe that she is face to face with a monster. Even so, it is what it is. This is happening, and from here on out, many people will be killed by these creatures. Instinctively, she notices the axe resting at her right, all the encouragement she needs to fight for her life. Unlike those who will escape death by turning into monsters themselves, she chooses to survive, driving the axe into the monster before her as her first active step to achieving this. Bathed in its green goo, she scoffs at it for thinking she'd go down quietly. Nevertheless, like I said earlier, the village wasn't always like this. Some weeks to the apocalypse, Lady Cherry Sinclair is in a much different spot, the front pages of the papers where she always sits. She is known for being an heiress with an unquantifiable fortune, and although she isn't a noble, she is the object of administration from the aristocracy. On this beautiful day, she strolls around soaking up the admiration of onlookers, while her assistant gets suffocated by all the Cherry's shopping load she's been dragging around. When they get to the carriage, her assistant has a hard time lifting it, so swiftly makes a quick survey to make sure no one was watching. She does the heavy lifting herself, earning her the praise of her assistant, who sums her up as an embodiment of beauty and brawn. It's a shame she has to hide her strength because the upper-class people don't fancy strong women. If they did, she wouldn't have hit it. Boldly, she adds that she wasn't born like this. She came into the world with such a weak build that her parents had to give her enhancers to keep her going. With time, the enhancers made her a little stronger than normal people. Anyways, they have to get going. Understanding this, Cherry hastily attempts ascending the carriage, only to get dizzy and fall terribly, hitting her head so hard on the gravel road that she not only felt brain-splitting pain, but also faced a rush of memories she had subconsciously forgotten. These are memories from her world that leave her shaken even when she regains consciousness at the dead of night. A quick survey helps Cherry understand she is in her room, with her as the same assistant who witnessed her fall. She informs her mistress that the doctor said all she has to worry about is a mild concussion, nothing more. But she is sure she is fine. Deciding not to slack any further, she asks the assistant to get her all the newspapers she has gathered. Her absence allows her the freedom to cry her eyes out at the understanding that she has regained memories of who she was and the world she came from. She can't believe she is in the world of the novel she used to read in her previous life, Love in Doomed World. A Doomed Love, a novel set in a world collapsed, where the female lead, Aurora, gathers male leads. Her reason? Join hands with them to form a survival team and find a cure for the whole monster problem. She recalls it being a B-grade apocalyptic survival romance novel, where various survival camps are formed. Each one varied in size, but the size of each camp represented its power. The female lead, Aurora, with the help of her crew, conquers survival camp after survival camp to gain more control. While she is at it, Cherry Sinclair treads a different path. She is a next-to-useless side character that continuously puts the life of the supporting male lead in danger. Her end is less than pleasant, death by the bite of a viral monster. Is fate playing tricks on her? She passed away helplessly in a car crash, to end up as a doomed character in a doomed world. What should she do? What can she do? She can't stop the world from ending, she also can't run. The plague will hit everywhere in due time. Then again, she doesn't need to run. The apocalypse is inevitable, meaning the best chance she has is to prepare for it. Memories from her past life mixed with doomed love novel smart is all she needs to get herself a defensive bunker to shield her from the monsters. To begin, she demands the newspapers her assistant, Susanna, returns with, disobeying her plea that she lie down, just because she is determined to make her own shelter. From the headline about servants dying from an infectious disease, Cherry knows she doesn't have much time to cook up a plan. She has less than a month at best, so packing only essentials is out of the question. What she needs is food. She has money to fund that and also get her weapons. She can handle the former herself, but for the latter, she needs to meet someone skilled at getting things done, Harrison, her family lawyer. Confused by her sudden request for ammunition, he wishes to know what she has in mind. She informs him that she suddenly feels like protecting herself. Ordinarily, she wouldn't have come to him, but he is in charge of handling her family's affairs. He's been doing this since her parents passed away, and even though he seems a bit nosy, she's been alone since childhood, and he is like an older brother to her. One of the reasons why he doesn't believe her. He thinks she is up to no good, so she'll have to be more convincing without telling him the truth. If it's possible, she hopes she can handle this on her own. Since her name holds water in the Empire, buying large quantities of ammunition in her name will attract attention. Unlike her, Harrison isn't sloppy. He can get the weapons cleanly without arousing suspicion. She has to make him come around somehow, and comes up with the excuse of wanting to shoot someone. It's not all a lie. She wants to gun down monsters and hopes he'll believe her. He does, taking this more seriously than she anticipated, as he wants to take care of whoever she has in mind, himself. How could she say this when she knows how overly protective he is of her? He is bound to look into this matter, so she uses the aura of her tragic past and her desperation to get ready for the apocalypse, to put up a solid act. Forcing tears and a distressed tone, she claims she doesn't want to talk about her target. The excuse works. Harrison lets this slide. He'll look into it further on a later date. For now, he'll like a list of the specific weapons she needs. Eagerly, she calls out every monster-killing tool that comes to her mind, from swords to crossbows and axes. Anything he can get, she wants it. Taking that to mind, he plans to do her one better, by getting her an instructor to teach her how to use these weapons. She tries to argue against it, but it's non-negotiable. On the bright side, she might not even meet the instructor, given how close the end is. Away from that, she summons up courage to ask for his help with building an armory that will suit her personality. She wants it situated in the quiet village of Brunel. Although Harrison might not know about it, she informs him that it's not too far from the capital. Why Brunel? Well, according to the novel, a character named Vanilla survived in her mansion there for half a year. The most necessary thing during the apocalypse was food, and because of it, the protagonist, Aurora, had to go from place to place, until she meets a supporting male character that helps her out. Cherry is certain that part doesn't have anything to do with her. What matters is that it took Aurora and her crew half a year to stumble upon Vanilla's mansion on the hill. It was like a fortress, and she grew vegetables in her garden there while relying on some other resources she gathered from a mountain behind her home. Being the wise person she is, Cherry knows the first step to surviving an apocalypse is self-sufficiency. Taking that into consideration, Brunel is the perfect place for surviving. Also, since it's a proper place for growing crops, she can use the knowledge she learned from her parents in her past life to run her own garden. Given that this situation will be temporary, since it'll take the male lead 2 years at most to find a cure for the apocalypse disease, all she has to do is survive until then. Not just her, but people dear to her, like Harrison, who is the next thing she has to family. He'll die without her help, so she attempts a Hail Mary by telling him about the incoming apocalypse. Instead of believing her, he outrightly concludes she has lost her mind even more and needs a new hospital more skilled than the one she is visiting. To prevent him from whisking her into a mental facility, she takes it back, claiming she was just sharing a vivid dream she had, nothing more. Last time she saw a doctor was when she fell into depression because her parents died. Medication helped her get better, so the last thing she needs is the apocalypse meeting her confined in a hospital. Fortunately for her, she is able to sell her sanity so well that he ignores what she said earlier. Still in the bid to save the lawyer, Cherry invites him to join her on the journey to Brunel. She claims she is inexperienced in the field of weapons and knows nothing about an armory, but that prompts him to suggest she go with a proper specialist. Remember, this is her way of trying to save him, her reason for rejecting external help and demanding it must be he who accompanies her. In furtherance of her request, Harrison agrees to come along, suggesting they see it as a little outing. With Harrison and the armory covered, Cherry moves on to phase 2 of her plan, the loan of 100 million gold bars. If not now, when will she get access to so much money? It's probably the highest loan amount anyone has asked this broker for. His shaky tone and uneasy expression tell that much. Still, it's what she needs, even if she isn't sure she can spend it all before day. To her astonishment, he asks what she needs that much gold for, and she casually responds that she wants to use it to fund her doomsday preparation. Hearing something so absurd coming out of Cherry's mouth makes the broker worry she is getting scammed. He offers to speak to Harrison on her behalf, if she is getting scammed. Deja vu all over again, but her sweet tongue helps her out again. Since she assures him she isn't getting duped, he guesses she needs a loan to save her family's gambling club. Mr. Morton, the broker, had heard they were about to lose a few diamond mines to keep it. Now he fears she is in a deeper sea of woe than he thought. To get the loan, Cherry lies that she needs the money to further an overseas business, one of her family's many business projects. What's this about a gambling club, you might ask? Well, it's one of Cherry's businesses. Most people saw it as a joint created by a reckless heiress, which housed delinquent heirs and elites. However, they were wrong. From the gambling club, she got not just enormous income, but also intel. On a daily basis, she got hundreds of requests from applicants who wanted to join her club. Morton here thinks she has expanded to the point that she urgently needs cash. Even though the club is beneficial to Cherry, she hasn't been to it in a while. At the moment, she is considering surrendering operating rights to someone else. Still, she isn't here to discuss that or get interrogated. She came for a loan and wants to know why it's taking so long for him to give it to her. She threatens to take further delay as an insult to her family's name, prompting him to apologize desperately. She wouldn't have gotten this reaction if she wasn't rich, so she praises her wealth, even though it partially feels like she is scamming the system. Even if she is, in no time the virus will spread and money will become worthless paper scraps. Before that happens, she plans to spend everything she has on the essentials she needs to tackle the end of the world. During her mental debate, Cherry glances through a paper, silencing all her thoughts when she comes across an article she hadn't seen before. She wonders if it's a follow-up article to something she read, as it says, Monster Chaos at 61 Nodium Street. Norton, noticing she is so focused on the headline, asks if she'll like him to get it for her. Once she agrees, they head out together, with her head still buried in the news. Cold sweat runs down her cheeks at the realization that the night this article was published coincides with the time the first real monster appeared in the novel. That evening, Aurora encounters the monsters for the first time. Who is Aurora? Aside from being the female lead, she was the adopted daughter of the Lancaster Duchy. In the book, she was lured into 61 Nodium Street by an anonymous letter claiming it could reveal to her the secret of her birth. She got no secrets there, nevertheless, just an infected person who had been starving for days. Someone wanted her gone, even though the story doesn't say anything about that. Along with the monster that appears in that street, Cherry recalls the alpinus herb also appears here. This plant basically makes all, who consume it, immune to the infection and one bite of the monsters. Along with other details kept hidden, the book excluded the reason why the herb was in the mansion at 61 Nodium Street. She would have gotten more info if she read the sequel, but the book was discontinued after part 1. For safety's sake, Cherry makes up her mind to get the herb and take it on her journey to Brunel. Aurora's mistake, in the book, was seeing the herb at the mansion and leaving it behind because she didn't know how to use it. She did regret that mistake later on, after she learned about its effects. Cherry is determined not to make her mistake and risks going to the mansion for the herb's sake. By night, she cloaks up, ready to carry out her plan, when she is troubled by the fact that she might come face to face with a monster. Since the book had no picture illustrations attached, she has no idea what the monsters look like. Even though she is here, everything feels unreal. Doesn't stop her from walking with a plan to be careful. The cloak can only hide her identity. If a person is bitten by a virus-infected monster, they'll turn into a similar monster. Humans who turn into monsters gain monstrous features, but that depends on their physical traits post-infection. While some get incredibly strong, others get incredibly fast and more. They may be the perfect predators, but they aren't invincible. Weaknesses like their poor vision can be used against them, but it's their sensitive hearing and low resistance to things as hot as fire deal the killing blow. Aware that she can never be too safe, Cherry came here with a hatchet and a makeshift Molotov, which she learned how to make from details in the novel. It's heavy, but necessary for her survival, so she can't complain. Deep down, she hopes she wouldn't need her tools, but a scream from a distance makes her think otherwise. Could it be that things wouldn't go according to the novel? It may not, but at least when she gets to the location of the scream, she meets some goofy kid and not a monster. The kid had accidentally stepped on her cloak and almost fell, hence the reason behind the scream. Observing her further, her striking features like her silver curly hair, violet eyes, the fact that she is standing at the gate of the mansion on 61 Nodium Street, and the letter at her feet prove that she is none other than Aurora Lancaster, the protagonist. Let's dial things back a bit, shall we? Take it to a few years ago. Aurora was just a 15-year-old who lost her memories and was adopted by the Lancaster Duchy. The innocent girl got showered with love from the Duke and his son, Ethan. You'd expect that to be enough for her, but this is a classic drama trope and she has amnesia. Obviously, she'd be interested in uncovering the secrets of her past. Cherry admits that if she was in Aurora's shoes, drama or no drama, she would have done the same, not minding the risk. But all she is doing is roaming the gate. Why hasn't she gone in? Could it be that the door is locked? She can't say. Watching the clumsy girl cracks Cherry up, still she has to get moving. She came here hoping to loot an empty house after Aurora dealt with the monster, but from the way she sees it, the girl will not act anytime soon. She hurries to grab the plant before things go south, only to meet a discomforting silence when she walks into the mansion. There's no one in there but her and the infected person who must have been holding up in the mansion for days. For her safety, she has to stay vigilant, a decision that leaves her frightened the second she hears an unfamiliar sound come from behind her. She already has a Molotov in hand for fear that it is a monster. Fortunately for her, it isn't. What she sees is a box. She can't say where it fell from, she observes it nonetheless, and is pleased to discover that it contains the alpinus herb she came to get. She can't say what's going on for sure, yet that doesn't stop her from celebrating the fact that her search has come to an end. She has what she came for. Now all she has to do is escape. It should have been easier than sneaking in, if not for a slight plot twist. A human being who seemed to be trapped in the mansion. Fretfully, he begs Cherry to help him. His worry is vivid, even though his identity and why he is here remains unknown. The novel said only Aurora was in the mansion, so she calmly reassures the man, promising to help him if he answers her questions. She isn't done speaking, when drops of green blood land at her feet. The source of the blood hangs gracefully to the roof, a monster. Its form is quite frightening. Yet Cherry doesn't flinch. She asks the man if he was bitten by the creature, and according to him, he wasn't. He came into the mansion to find it tied up. That's another detail the original novel missed. Just to be safe, she asks if there is anyone else in the building. There isn't. The man came here because he couldn't reach his sister. He keeps blabbing about the situation, but she left him a while back and has been in a room with her own thoughts ever since. She can't understand who tied the monster up, and isn't allowed to do so because the monster breaks free and launches an attack at them. He is lucky it focuses on Cherry, and she is quick enough to get out of the way, while he collapses on the floor, fidgeting. It's obvious he isn't built for battle, the moment he makes the run for it, leaving Cherry behind to deal with their freaky friend. She is mad at his cowardice, but he does save her some stress, taking away the one thing that was holding her back, himself. Snagging her Molotov, she makes up her mind to make it out of here safely. While she is working on that, Aurora finally figures out the gate is open and starts contemplating whether or not she should go into the house. Before she knows it, the man runs out, screaming for help. Confused by his reaction, she waits a second too long, allowing the burning monster exit the house and run towards her. Since it's her first time encountering the beast, all Aurora does is fall to her knees as the monster closes in on her. It's seconds away from ending her life when Cherry defies both logic and the storyline to save her. By the time she is done, the girl showers her with praises and thanks for saving her life. She would have been a goner if not for the intervention, so she calls Cherry her lifesaver. On the other hand, Cherry, whose hand Aurora holds during her breakdown, tries to hide her identity, while thinking about how annoying this situation is. Disregarding her discomfort for a bit, she asks the girl if she saw a man run out the door, and she did. She explains that he ran into the alley, information she considers to be good news. She is glad he escaped alive, noting that although there were a lot of unexpected events, she got the herbs. Moreover, no one got hurt. It's something to be thankful for. If there were less people at the scene at the moment, to keep things private, she has to leave before more people gather, something she plans to do when she is greeted by a ray of bright light and a demand that says identify herself. Behind the light is a guard with a loaded pistol, who turns out to be Ethan, Aurora's adoptive brother. Stunned to see her at the crime scene, he asks what she is doing here. As the brother and sister discuss, instead of making a run for it, Cherry gets lost in Ethan's good looks. Observing him, she reckons that there is more to him than his looks, and soon recalls there is. Eden Duncan Lancaster is the most capable character in the Manga League. He is a key character and has the virus's antibodies. He is someone she wanted to meet, yet this is the wrong place and time for them to do so. Worsening things is the oblivious Aurora, who informs him that it was the girl in the cloak and mask that saved her from the monster. He didn't know of any monster. He is only here because of a report he got while on patrol. Now Cherry is under his radar. This is a suspicious situation, no doubt. Finding her here will lead to a lot of time-wasting investigations that will delay her. For her sake, she can't let that happen, and fate understands that, giving her a tiny window of opportunity by taking Ethan's attention off her to the monster and his partner who is observing it. At first glance of the slain creature, he finds it hard to believe it was the masked woman who caught it, but she refuses to wait another second for them to demand a statement from her. Using the small window of opportunity fate gave her, she sprints away as fast as she can, ignoring Aurora, who unconsciously alerts them by begging her to stay or at least reveal her name. Cherry foresaw an easy getaway, as if Ethan was going to let that happen. Now as he chases her across the empty city streets in the cover of dark, he demands that she stop, knowing fully well that she won't. How did it come to this? She wonders and has no answer to that even after she gets caught by him. Running away from a man as skilled as he is, what did she expect? Now he has the right to taunt her for thinking she could escape. He wishes she surrendered on her own and acknowledges how grateful he is that she saved his sister. His only issue with her is that she tried to escape, making her look plenty suspicious. She ran because she was trying to keep her identity a secret, yet when she got to a certain distance, she relaxed. Thinking she was in the clear, she eased up and began planning her journey to Brunel. She didn't go far into the planning, nevertheless, when she spotted him closing in on her. Who can blame Cherry? She didn't think the brother of the year was going to abandon his little sister to come after her. Now that she is in his custody, he shares with her his suspicion that she is an important person because of all the effort she is putting in trying to hide her face. Though he tries not to make it look that way, he is glad he'll have to investigate her, while she racks her brain for the best way out of this. With the way things are going, knocking him out might be her only way out of this, and she is ready to do it, when she hears a loud scream coming from the distance. Since the voice sounds familiar, Ethan loses focus, allowing Cherry to break away immediately, dashing through the streets as fast as she can, while he has to choose between the person who screamed, who she is certain is Aurora, and Cherry. She hopes he chooses his sister, and he does, after picking up the brooch she accidentally left behind. It's the only link he has between her and this crime scene. That's not good. By morning, the sun is much brighter than Cherry's mood. Her little stunt last night was straight out a Cinderella story, dropping the brooch for Prince Charming to come find her. But Prince Charming is a very angry Ethan. If possible, she wants it back. Not because it's fancy or anything, but because it's the last gift her late father gave her. Yup, she's an idiot for losing something so valuable. Even so, she'll get to planning to recover it later. For now, she hopes Ethan wouldn't link it back to her. Her initials may be on the back of the brooch, but anyone can miss that, right? Wrong. The next minute, Susanna walks in with news that Ethan called. In a bid to act oblivious, she asks why he called, but he didn't disclose. He only said the reason was confidential and he had to speak to her in person. Shaking off her uneasiness, Cherry instructs her trusty helper to tell him she isn't around because of the journey she embarked on. Susanna will do just that, but that's not the only reason why she is here. She came to hand her the newspaper she requested and to ask her if she had packed her belongings. She has Susanna too, but unlike her, she needs to alert the head maid before she embarks on the journey. Seeing how committed she is to the trip, Cherry can't help but see Susanna as an angel. She didn't even need to persuade her to come along, and after she was told they'd stay in Brunel for a while, she didn't flinch, claiming she didn't have anything in the capital city. For her loyalty, Cherry thanks her, while she reassures her that she'll follow her to wherever she goes. Her words warms her mistress so much that she hugs her and they go their separate ways. Cherry to her ride to Brunel and she to carry out errands like reporting back to Ethan. Once she is done, she'll join Cherry and Brunel. No biggie. Outside, moments later, the master planer buries her head in the paper Susanna got for her. She glides through its contents, searching for an article about the monster at Nodium Street the previous night, but there's nothing about it. It only has it that there was a commotion that involved Aurora, which confirms the scream Ethan ran towards was truly his sister's. On getting to the end of the article, noticing that there is no news on the monster, Cherry confirms that someone is actively trying to cover it up. That's the only explanation. I mean, there were so many witnesses at the site, surely someone saw something. Why didn't they speak? Doesn't change the fact that she can't say anything about the incident as well. She has no evidence, so no one would believe her. What they'll believe is that she is crazy, a stain she doesn't want on her garment at a time like this. If Harrison could recommend she go to the hospital, what would others think? For now, the only culprit she is aware of is the late Marquis Casey. If she were to investigate the incident, uncover the truth behind the disease, and attempt to prevent the situation, it'll take a lot of her time, and time is not a commodity she has in excess right now. Going with her table of preference will be the best thing to do for the time being, and the first thing on that list is the trip to Brunel. Back at the crime scene, Ethan observes the morning paper, while a group of noble ladies walk by drooling over him. Their escort, though unhappy about this, says nothing. Meanwhile, he isn't even aware of the stir he is causing. He is too focused on the headline about Cherry, not surprised that she made the front page for another day in a row. Considering her massive loan, he thinks it questionable that an heiress like her will go to such lengths. He suspects the reason she gave for the loan is only a cover for her true intentions, observing the brooch one last time, while paying special focus to the initials at the back. Distracting him, nevertheless, is an inspector, who comes to the scene to ask why he is here, even after being told to stay away from the case. Ethan replies that he cannot do that, after all. He was at the crime scene after the incident. Acknowledging how stubborn his subordinate is, the inspector turns his attention to the paper in Ethan's hand. He is surprised to see he is focused on the article about Cherry, recounting that he had called the Sinclair household earlier too. He fears Ethan is obsessed with the Sinclair heiress, so for his sake, he wants him to steer clear of the Sinclair household. He doesn't want him getting tangled in the web of the troublesome wealthy class and advises him to work hard and keep his head low, promising him that if he does that, he'll be a police commissioner in no time. Isn't Ethan wealthy, though? Well, it turns out he isn't. The strange fellow renounced the dukedom to chase the silly goal of being a police officer. Certainly, his father did not approve of such a rash choice, but his name undoubtedly paved a way for Ethan in the force. This made a lot of people think he is doing this for the positions, but he isn't, and has to let the inspector know just that. He has his reasons, and if one of them was chasing honor, he would have inherited the dukedom. What's more honorable than that? Moving forward, he asks the inspector why nothing is said on the paper about the monster. He can't believe it when he hears that the people at the top ordered them not to report any unusual events in the paper. For his safety, he is advised to let this go, as if he would. He already has his thoughts set on the higher-ups the inspector is talking about. He'll lay low, for now, and leaves to pursue a lead about a large shipment of firearms being smuggled into Brunel. Funny how their paths unintentionally collide. The inspector, curious, would like to know who Ethan's informant on the smuggling is, but even he will find out when he gets there. It might take a day or two, though, seeing as it takes Cherry a couple of train stations and a carriage to get there, this isolated village with no cars or trains. Getting to her destination makes her all emotional, mostly because it's the place where she will set up her shelter. She didn't expect it to be this lush. It has more than she expected, like a decent grocery store, a general store, clinic, a weapons shop, and more. She smiles at the fact that it has everything she needs to survive and the thought of turning the entire village into a survival camp. Sadly, her money can't buy her the village. Moving on, Cherry spots her new home in the distance. It's the secluded mansion in the hills, a shady-looking place that looks like it has monsters lurking. But what can she do? It fits the description of the mansion from the novel, where Vanilla lived. The novel phrased it as the fortress in the hills that stands solidly in place. She can see why they call it that and why it held out for so long. Deep down, she doubts Vanilla owned the mansion, glad that with the help of the village chief, it was arranged that she was to buy it directly from Vanilla. Now, after waiting for a while, she starts to fear something happened with Vanilla. She should have been here by now. The delay makes her feel uneasy, yet that's not all she has to worry about. It seems Ethan is in Brunel, manhandling an illegal arms dealer from Graydon. The man claims he has no idea what's happening until Ethan reminds him that he was caught red-handed meeting privately with a Brunel smuggler and bolted on site. From the look of things, he hasn't taken the trip yet. He is aware that the plan is to smuggle the weapons into a remote village. He knows that village is Brunel, but acts oblivious just so the arms dealer can say it himself, but he refuses, claiming he is just an errand boy who picks up and delivers goods. To show him how glaring his lie is, Ethan reveals he is aware Harrison is behind everything, and the one buying the weapons is Cherry Sinclair. You might wonder why he is so suspicious of her. Well, while he lied to Inspector Marcel that he got the lead from an informant, the truth is he saw Harrison, with his own eyes, meet an illegal weapons expert from Brunel, secretly. He tried to confirm things with Cherry, but it was obvious she was avoiding his calls. Added to that, taking a random trip to Brunel after receiving a loan of 1 billion gold bars didn't seem like a coincidence to him. Here I was thinking it was fate that brought them together. This man is obsessed. Regardless, with the right amount of manhandling, he is able to force the arms dealer to speak. He pleads that the only thing he knows is that Cherry left for Brunel today. Since Ethan doesn't know where it's located, he helps him with information that it's a remote village with no train stations. It makes no sense to him that a flashy heiress who enjoys luxury would stoop so low as visiting a backwater village with no train stations. If it is truly her who ordered the many firearms, Ethan is interested in the reason she has. Even the arms dealer can't tell what the crazy lady is planning. By morning, she is seated at the town square. The meeting with Vanilla is still yet to happen. She is at the town square, going through the news as always. She is on the front cover news, she isn't in the town, and she is still making waves, with the billion gold loan she took. What some believe is that she took the loan under the guise of starting a foreign business, when she had something else in mind. Others believe she has either escaped or disappeared. They are still investigating it. Cherry is glad that at least they are making the front page of the paper in its usual flair, but they can write what they want to write. When the world ends, they won't have time to write articles like this. What she has to worry about for the time being is Harrison. He hasn't found out about the article. When he does, it'll end in more nagging, and that's one thing she isn't comfortable with. As for Vanilla, since she hasn't showed up yet, Cherry fears she might not be seeing her anytime soon. In the distance, she spots a distraction from her situation, in the form of an officer who she thinks is hot. She takes note of all his manly features, frame, and more, that makes her stand out in this backwater village. Interest turns to fear with the realization that the officer is her arch-nemesis, Ethan. Looks like he is getting directions from an old lady who points to her. Last time, she sprinted off. Now, all she can do is pray as he walks towards her. Once he gets to her, he cunningly seeks permission to sit by her. The smile on his face right now is a lie. She knows he is here for something serious, though she can't tell what. Like a citizen with a clean slate, she lets him join her, trying to maintain her cool while he has his order taken. She can't say why he is here for sure, but if he makes mention of the Nodium incident, it might be best to have him captured. Oddly, he doesn't, starting off the conversation by expressing shock and meeting her in a place like Brunel after wanting to meet her for so long. His acting may be flawless, but she shows how rusty she is when she openly guesses he knows who she is. Who didn't? She is on the front page of every newspaper. Anyways, he plays along, identifying her as Cherry Sinclair, the woman famous for her media presence. With the way things kick off, she worries she is being interrogated and can't see a clear way out of this because of the tricks he is applying. Things go worse with him formally introducing himself as Ethan from the Benton police. But like her, everyone knows Benton's mad dog, the one officer no criminal has ever escaped from. She will have to be the first, since he poses a treat to her plans. For that reason, she keeps up her act, claiming she read about him on the paper. He'll like to engage her further, but Vanilla shows up right on time to give Cherry a little breathing space. As she introduces herself, all our master planner can see is how cold the character is in person. Doesn't stop them from doing business, though, with Cherry informing Vanilla that per the sales agreement, she's now the owner. All she has to do is go through this chat with the seller, as Ethan steps in. He sees no sense in a woman like his suspect being interested in a rundown mansion, a statement that gets him shushed. Our girl doesn't want anyone knowing she is the heiress of the Sinclair household because of how popular she is. Taking that assertion up, he wants to know if her whereabouts being revealed is a problem, only for him to get asked why someone as popular as him is here. Aware that she is more famous than he is, Ethan tosses the question right back at him, forcing her to reply that she is on a vacation. Keeping his real reason for being here under wraps, he claims that he was assigned here, a lie she refuses to acknowledge. Someone of the Lancaster family couldn't be assigned to this backwater place. He begs to differ no less, claiming that they caught wind of something happening in Brunel. The more the responses fall out, the longer the back and forth continues, until Vanilla steps in. She didn't come here to enjoy K-drama. All she wants to know is the person who paid for the mansion. All she cares about is money. Whether she got it from Cherry Sinclair or Mango Sinclair is none of her business. You'd think this will make Ethan backs off, but instead he gets curious about the dead bird on Vanilla's shoulder. Instead of dismissing him, she starts by explaining she is a hunter, hence her rifle. The bird is one of the games she hunted for the village chief, because the pay was good. Without knowing, she has presented her resume to Cherry. The novel said she survived alone for half a year, not just because of her excellence in defending the mansion. She complimented that with her ability to survive on her own, and our girl badly wants to recruit her. Back to business, Vanilla repeats that the mansion is not in the best of conditions, coupled with the fact that it is in a remote area. She made this clear before, going as far as advising her against buying the mansion, but since she refused, she doesn't expect a refund afterwards. Cherry assures her that there won't be a need for that. She bought the property on her own accord. Taking that to mind, Vanilla decides that she'll be in the village for some days, just in case she has any questions. It won't be for free, nevertheless, and there will be no discounts. Hearing this makes Cherry's heart flutter. She wants to recruit her now more than ever, but casts the feeling aside to ask if there is anything special about the mansion, hidden facilities that she should know about. Minutes later, she is strolling away, building plans in hand, wondering why the novel described the Vanilla's mansion as special. Vanilla called it a mansion optimized for survival. The building plan she is observing says otherwise. She suspects it was glorified because its location encouraged self-sufficiency. She'll get to that later. For now, she has to attend to the Benton mad dog who refuses to leave her alone. According to the novel, this man was supposed to meet his end in the capital, meaning the only reason he is here is because he figured out she is the owner of the brooch. She tried desperately to think he was here for another reason, but it's clear now that she is in deep trouble. In that case, she has to confront him, and starts by asking why he is following her. She can't be convicted based on suspicion, plus he shouldn't have a warrant. Ever the smart mouth, Ethan claims he intends to accompany her to the mansion because it's isolated and looks dangerous. He adds that even if it wasn't, it's in a location that'll allow her to secretly bring in firearms and hide slush funds. Boldly, she permits him to look into the mansion if that's what he thinks, stopping when she remembers she has business with firearms. She thought he was here because of the brooch. Linking her back to the weapons is another problem on its own. Recognizing Cherry's sudden discomfort, Ethan taunts her, demanding to know if she has suddenly thought of a reason for him not to have a look at the mansion. In the Empire, partaking in illegal business is a big no-no. Things will get complicated if word gets out, but before she can think of a way around the Empire, she has to get this man off her back. Using his morals to her advantage, she denies him entry, claiming it is wrong for a strange man to enter a woman's house when she is living alone. He tries to say is no stranger, but the police. Yet that makes her get even louder, arguing that a man is still a man. To save herself from being imprisoned before the apocalypse, she defeats him by calling him not only a stranger, but a beast, for wanting to enter her house without a warrant. After sending him packing, she goes on to check out the house, and it is big and spacious, just as she had expected. It's safe to say it looks like a ruin, but from how messed up its exterior alone is, she fears she might not be able to clean this place by herself. Instead of budgeting hired help, she reassures herself that she can indeed take on the milestone, calling the building Cherry's Happy House. She has no idea it'll make the history books. It gets so bad that in future she'll wish she didn't name it Cherry's Happy House. Moving on, she takes note of the fountain in the center, the garden in front of it, the well, and the hut that looks like a storage shed. Recalling that it'll take 2 years to find a cure for the virus, she plans to make this mansion a self-sufficient environment by growing vegetables and more in the spacious garden. To increase her chances of surviving, she can't just rely on food. Observing the cracked wall, she concludes she needs to create a defensive wall for the mansion's safety. She is deeply overjoyed that she has a perfect plan and hopes to progress even more when she notices a note at the top right corner of the building plan. Eagerly, she checks it out, and it reads, "Brunel is this place, and Nodium is a street in the capital." As she doesn't know what that means, she continues into the mansion, intending to ask Vanilla about it later. One quick look at the place, and she decides the first thing to do is work on her room. At the moment, the room she has chosen looks like a mess. She is certain that with the help of a little cleaning and a little more furniture, it'll be grand. Plus, it has a fireplace, which she thinks is necessary. But everything changes when she notices the debris in front of the fireplace. It's a remnant of something someone burnt that sends chills down her spine. She can't say what it is, but it resembles charred clothes and human bones. Upon closer inspection, she realizes it isn't bone but chalk. The torn cloth remains torn cloth, sadly, and finding it in the fireplace makes her uneasy. This discovery leaves her distraught to the point that she wants to clean later. She would have, if not for the courage she summons soon after that helps her tidy the room while also draining her to the extent that when she is done, she collapses on the floor, affirming that this isn't a one-woman job. She racks her memory for who to call to help her out with this and lands on Harrison. She expects to just phone him to come over, but it isn't as simple as that in Brunel. All the phones in the village were broken. She ended up sending a letter to him, but who knows when it'll get to him. Drained, Cherry curses the fact that surviving is this hard, especially in this place where even the neighboring village lacks phones. Walking into all this tension is a little girl who offers her some flowers and today's newspaper at a fair price. It's been a day since she got here, so she does a good deed, buying from the girl, after which she takes a paper break. With it, she is able to discover that she made the front page again, alongside the caption, "The social parties are at a slump due to the absence of Gossip Girl." Where is Cherry Sinclair, whom everyone is waiting for? Uninterested in starting the day with gossip, she checks out the next headline, and it doesn't disappoint because it's about the Segrave family and their connection to certain ancient artifacts. Now, the Segrave family, from what she knows, is a family with a legendary story that could belong in a fairy tale trope. They are a family of heroes who protect the world from evil. By performing their duty, they got the name Guardians of Humanity. The existence of this family lightens up Cherry's mood. She is happy they actually exist and sees a world where they take care of the virus and everything. She gets so excited that she exclaims loudly, expecting no response, when Ethan asks if she'll like him to do anything for her. Why is this man still in Brunel? Why is he going through the paper on the same table with her? We all want to know. Yet when asked, he coldly replies that he is on official duty. Trying not to let her temper fly off the roof, she lets it all out on the paper in her hand and stays calm as best as she can, but the mixed emotions are just beginning. She came here to relax a bit and get orange juice, not knowing the person serving her would be vanilla. She is amazed at first, but calms down after hearing this greedy woman is working part-time here. Cherry wishes her well, yet for some reason Vanilla doesn't leave. She is forced to ask why, and this stingy woman demands for a tip. Once she gets what she needs, she goes on to pester Ethan, who for some reason complies. Observing her, our master planner tells herself that this character is very different from the image of her she had in mind. Anyways, since she is here, there's something she wants to discuss with her. She wrote them all down on a paper. Of the 8 things she wrote down to remember later, the first is the little side note on the building blueprint Vanilla gave her. Brunel is this place, and Nodium is a street in the capital. The next is Springwater and Hague. She doesn't know what that is and is curious about it, but the seller is as oblivious as she is. All she knows is that the handwriting resembles her father's. She only inherited the mansion from him as part of her legacy. Cherry had no idea the original owner of her happy house was Vanilla's father who left it for her. Now she does. She feels bummed, especially because the information about the mansion is very important. It'll be troublesome without it. Giving it some more thought, the daughter of the Ruskin house deduces that the writing on the blueprint of the building might be linked to a similar mansion she has at Nodium Street. Could it be the same mansion Cherry battled the first monster at? She doesn't even bother to ask, hurriedly moving to the next thing on her list. Hague and Springwater. Vanilla confesses she knows nothing about, until Ethan chips in, revealing Hague is the name of a street in the Empire. It sits near Westmore Station. Important stuff, indeed, but also proof he was listening in on their conversation, hence the reason for the immediate silence. After it comes the daughter of Ruskin's belief that the fuss about Hague and Springwater relates to the mansion she inherited in Westmore. That's all she knows. Cherry can see that, meaning probing any further would be pointless. Moving on, she asks Vanilla if she knows anyone around who is strong enough to help her with cleaning. She shares that there is a lot of furniture in the mansion that needs to be thrown away. Also, cleaning it alone would be too much for her because of how large it is. Ignoring the little pitiful act she is putting up, Vanilla reveals she knows a few people who can help. They aren't professional cleaners, by the way, and she is willing to introduce her to them if she doesn't mind. Cherry is fine with whoever is sent her way, as long as that person is discreet, to save her from unnecessary chatter. Returning to her day and tea, unaware of Ethan's lingering eye, our master planner thinks about how relieved she is that the little writing is about the other mansions. She felt uncomfortable initially, now she wants to think there is nothing to worry about. Sure, if that nothing excludes the police officer at her table. To her annoyance, he stretches out a newspaper, asking if she saw the headline. It's old, and he searched it out because she strikes him as an unpredictable person. He doesn't like unpredictability. Of course, he went to the newspaper to search about her, but what's his deal focusing on news about her being the worst cricketer in history? She wants to know what exactly he is curious about, just to get asked if she still plays cricket or not. He knows she wants a pro and assumes she must have had enough skill to get to that level. She thinks the news says differently. She admits her skills were hogwash, so terrible that the only reason she got to play pro was because her parents secretly donated money to the club. The officials hid the truth from her, turning up with fake smiles while she was left to believe she earned her spot with her own abilities. Looking back, it's even safe to say that the club just wanted ties with the Sinclair name. She knows the drill because over the years she met people who approached her solely because she bore the name. Looking back, she can't help but wish she had the physical strength she has now, back then. Returning her attention to the one who asked her the question, she suspects he feels bad for bringing this up. She decides to believe that despite his personality, he has a good heart. If so, she wants to use that to her advantage, seeking his pity by shedding tears as she claims it's fine now. The cricket fiasco was a long time ago, and she gets misunderstood because of her image. She goes on to say she probably looks like someone who hides guns in her mansion. Although the statement tempts him, he ignores letting her continue her act until she gets up and leaves, wishing him good luck with his duties. It looks like he bought her act. Although, if it were Harrison, he wouldn't fall for something like that. In any case, this is all about her survival. She has to do her best to survive until the end without getting caught by Ethan. Speaking of getting away, she hasn't gotten word from Harrison. He hasn't replied to her letter or checked on her, which is strange. It's possible he forgot about it while working. Then again, that's enough reason for her to reach out again. First thing the following morning, Cherry is at the train station she heard had its phone fixed, just to speak to Susanna. On getting to the phone, she showers it with love, making the station officials around uncomfortable until she reminds herself she is running on extra time and needs to hurry. Seconds later, she makes the call, taken aback by the voice on the other end, Susanna's voice. Holding in all her joy, Cherry identifies herself. Susanna admits she would have called earlier but didn't because she wasn't sure how to get in touch. Hearing this, Cherry seeks to know if anything happened, especially since she was to come today, but she hasn't. Soberly, Susanna apologizes for not making it, informing her mistress that the head maid fell ill. This sudden occurrence will hold her back another day. Taking note of the situation at hand, she understands her need to stay back, but wants her in Brunel tomorrow by all means. Since she has already booked her train, arriving at Brunel tomorrow is possible, although she is more concerned with how Cherry is faring than the journey itself. Our master planner assures her that all is well on her end, before tossing the question back at Susanna. She wants to know how things are in the capital. The maid replies that it's all good, except from the quiet the mansion experiences now that she is away. For someone who has lived there throughout her second life, Cherry assures her it's always been quiet. The maid doesn't know this because she hasn't been employed long. If she had been there, she would have experienced her parents' absence while they were handling business, and noticed her absence due to her outings. The Sinclair mansion has always been empty and will very likely remain empty in the coming days. Certain her maid is doing okay. She shifts the conversation to Harrison's whereabouts. According to Susanna, he is away at the moment, so she wants to know if he said anything concerning the letters she sent. She expected a response by now, but got nothing, which is strange. What's stranger is the maid has no memory of them getting any letter from Brunel. She guesses this has something to do with the rumor about postal workers going missing. The conversation suddenly takes a dark turn, with Susanna opening up about reading it on the papers. The postal workers, if they weren't found dead, simply disappeared. It was circulated that the cause of death was a psycho-criminal, because of the state the workers were left in. Out of concern, she advises Cherry to be careful when out at night. She thanks the maid for her concern and this information, urging her to relay it to Harrison ASAP. She agrees and wants to discuss further about something happening in Brunel when the line disconnects. Replaying the details in her head, Cherry considers the chances of the attacks being caused by monsters. It now dawns on her that she's been wasting time, while the world around her silently prepares for the apocalypse. It's become imperative that she has to survive by her own strength, whether Ethan is in Brunel or not. Unaware of her newfound determination, Ethan goes about his business as usual, even though her business is his business for the time being. Still on it, he goes through an article on the Westmore ghost story. Yup, the same Westmore the ladies talked AB the other day. He got the article from an unsolved cases file. From it, he discovers that around this time last year, there was a report from an abandoned house in Westmore saying every night screams could be heard. After the screams usually came the cry of a beast. The report was enough to get the attention of the police, yet they arrived at the scene to find traces of neither people nor an animal. 9 more reports followed the first and 9, after there were a total of 10 residents of Westmore missing, with no evidence of the crime, turning the case into a ghost story. Comparing the details from the Westmore ghost stories to what happened at 61 Nodium Street, he spots similarities that take his attention to Cherry's brooch. His sister, Aurora, had told him that the person who dropped the brooch was the same person who saved her. That was fine with him until he realized the initials on the back were the same as Cherry's. The hooded woman and Cherry also had the same eye color, which doesn't make any sense. What does he know about this woman sitting at the top of his suspects list? Sure, she appears on the front page of the newspaper every day. Sure, she loves extravagant parties and spends money like it's nothing. She's also a well-known gossip monger who is surrounded by scandals, plagued with a difficult personality, indecisiveness, and lacking in ability. As if all that is not enough, she is a troublemaker unfit to lead the Sinclairs. People like her he despises the most, so he doesn't see how she can be the same individual who saved his sister and successfully evaded him. Come on, Cherry isn't the type of person to go to such a remote and dangerous place like Nodium Street, but she is a suspect in an arms smuggling case, meaning she is far from being a righteous person. Looking back to what she said about people taking advantage of her family name and her image being misunderstood, it's possible that her brooch got caught up in this because someone is trying to frame her. If so, he might be seeing her through a bias, like everyone else. Feeling cooped up in this office, Ethan decides to head out, Cherry still on his mind. At the entrance to his new office, he meets 2 women gossiping about the lady of the hour. They refer to her as the abandoned house lady, and can't understand why she is moving around with scarecrows. Seeing her this way just after he planned to give her a chance, he willingly forgets everything and agrees she is a strange woman. The gossiping, nevertheless, stops when she asks why the women are gathered. Ignoring her question, they throw back a question at her, seeking to know what she plans to use the scarecrows for. To much of their discomfort, with a wide smile, she replies that she needs them to practice decapitating. While the women are visibly uncomfortable, Ethan wonders what she plans to decapitate, only for her to switch up, claiming it was a joke. She actually plans to use them to scare off sparrows in her field and leaves the women awestruck, to continue with her day. Observing her one more time, Ethan can't see why the general public see her as a delicate greenhouse flower, when even the women of Brunel conclude she is a strange lady. They are aware she has been hauling things in and out of the abandoned house, prompting Ethan to throw himself into their conversation and ask if she comes down to the village often. It's safe to say this man is okay with serial eavesdropping and throwing himself into random conversations. The women don't mind, though. They identify him as the new young policeman and admit he is more handsome up close, one of the reasons why they are willing to gossip about the abandoned house lady with him. They reveal that she swept the grocery store clean the day before. Today, Her victim was the necessities store. They come to the conclusion that she is preparing for war, with all the preparation she is making. They don't know anything about her, only that she lives in a haunted house and has questionable money. They think she is overspending, but he knows this money is nothing to Cherry. It's safe to say they haven't identified her yet. It still doesn't stop them from assuming he has a crush on her. Her beauty is vivid, and they compare her to a noble lady because she resembles a person who never went through hardship. They end up agreeing her beauty is comparable to that of a star candy, a key detail that has him lost in thought. Everyone compares her to star candy. It bugs him, really, but they aren't wrong. As he drowns in thoughts about her, the local women continue pairing them, concluding they are a good match. He outrightly rejects the matchup, but can't really argue with this woman who notice that he tails her. Saving him from this awkwardness is the inspector, who just got back from Cherry's happy house. He claims he went to check it out after hearing all the hunters were gathered there, giving Ethan reason to do same, even though the women assume he is going there for the abandoned house lady. Cherry, unaware he is about to pay her an unwanted visit, monitors the work being done by the workers Vanilla recommended. She commends their quick hands and skill that help them round up cleaning the house with ease. Now they are fixing the fence perfectly. She doesn't mind how expensive they are discreet and will be leaving the village soon, meaning she just killed 2 birds with 1 stone. She can't be more in love with herself right now, but her self-praise is cut short by the worker who wants to know if she desires a higher fence. She agrees that she does, instructing him to reinforce it, making it thicker and stronger with metal torches mounted outside it. The man doesn't know why she needs the torches. He doesn't know about the apocalypse and the monsters being weak to heat. The torches, when lit, will keep them away from the wall. He'll handle this request, surely, and some other one that requires materials yet to arrive. Gleefully, Cherry thinks about her decision to replace the front gate with a large stone door. Once locked, it can only be opened from the inside. Only people like her with superhuman strength will be able to open it from the outside. She is pleased at how repairs and supplies are being prepared according to plan. Now all that's left is planting the alpinus herb. Although it involves her putting on a farming outfit, which she hates, she does. Unfortunately for her, she meets an event that ruins her plan. Ethan. Of course, he swoops in to mess things up, detaining her on the count that there is more to the alpinus herbs than she is letting on. The man who sold her fertilizer complained that it looked suspicious when she brought it, but her questions made things worse. The scared store owner saw it wise to report this, stating he feared it was a drug. According to Ethan, it's principle to investigate any reported case. After hearing what he has to say, Cherry is convinced he took the case out of hunger for a way to investigate her. Since she is already here, it's best she listens to him, cooperates, and waits for the expert he sent for, who is supposed to confirm if the herb is a drug or not. He adds that if she is innocent, she'll be released. From the crowd outside, she can tell the rumors spread, making this a big deal. She has to prove that she isn't crazy enough to be cultivating drugs with all the heat surrounding her, but starts leaking cold sweat when the person in charge of the evaluation arrives. She can't understand why this character, Knox Cornell Ludfordshire, is here. He is the second male lead in the novel. No wonder things have been going so smoothly. This man is the younger brother of the widowed Mrs. Harrison and youngest son of the Ludfordshire household, who revolutionized the medical field by developing anesthesia. He was called upon because, in the past, substances like cocaine were used as anesthetics, allowing doctors to gain expertise in some drugs. The novel has it that he saved people during the time of the apocalypse, by amputating infected parts and delivering children when the time came. Still doesn't explain why characters who are supposed to be in the capital are here in Brunel. It could be the butterfly effect. She keeps drifting while the men discuss the herb, reaching the conclusion that it isn't a drug. Knox, after various checks, confirms it is only used for restoring energy, and he is amazed he is seeing it here again. Unaware of what that means, she can only ponder whether or not he has seen the herb before. Outside, another drama unfolds, with the villagers gossiping about Knox supporting Mango Sinclair, as they call her. One woman assumes the doctor is more famous than the abandoned house lady, and that infuriates the star candy of the empire. They continue their gossiping regardless, pausing only when they notice Knox and Ethan are looking at them. Since it's their first time meeting a noble like Knox, they don't know how to act. If only they knew that Ethan is of a higher status than the doctor. Even so, right now none of that matters. Cherry feels her seat grow warmer as he goes to close the door, restricting the villagers from observing any further. It looks like things are about to get serious until the Benton mad dog, with his head bowed, apologizes to her. Never in a million years did she see this coming. A man like him who can't stand her, apologizing so quickly. Watching him own up to accusing her of dealing with drugs when it was just herbs, gladdens her soul. Nevertheless, she refuses to let this go, putting up an act as she claims that although she gets misunderstood a lot, this is really upsetting. Like a blade to the chest, her declaration that he brought her here without properly verifying facts stabs him. To show how sorry he is, he bows one more time, repeats the apology, and adds that he has misunderstood her all this time. Being the master planner herself, Cherry further uses this opportunity his guilt provides to her advantage by asking for his help. The help is his service. Not just farming, repairing the house and more if possible, since they are really short-handed. He wants to contest, but she plays with his conscience some more, stating that him calling her to the station held her back and that delay is a big problem. Furthermore, if he refuses to help, She will report to the newspaper. How's the caption? Ethan Lancaster arrests innocent civilians without evidence. It's definitely front-page material since she is involved. Still, he is cornered, forced to accept to work and move to ask for pay. She doesn't like the sound of that, but she is considering it when Knox barges into the conversation by declaring that it's been a while since he was treated like a nobody. Yeah, they forgot him. He had followed them from the station, but she was so focused on her discussion with Ethan that he skipped her mind at some point. Now that he is back in it, they get to introduce themselves properly. By properly, I mean he greets her like a nobleman greets a noble lady, not the way Ethan's been treating her. Knox reveals he is so much interested in her story and would like her to spare him a moment. On the flip side, she is busy thinking about the best way to shut him up and get him to work for her. To do that, she'll have to grant his request by sparing him the moment he desires. Just like Ethan, he is here out of sheer curiosity about Cherry. He is well aware that the Empire paints her out as a spoiled heiress and gossip monger. Even so, he refuses to agree with their definition of this woman. Yes, once upon a time he thought like them, but that view lasted until he saw her at the mansion. Even though she was masked, he could tell it was her. It was his first time encountering her. Around that time, the Westmore urban legends were getting more frequent. Although no one had much to run with when it came to the ghost stories, all the crime scenes had one thing in common: a plant, the alpinus herb. Since it kept appearing, the police force took interest in it and consulted Knox to help them determine what it was so they could move forward with their investigations. They assumed it was a drug, but he knew better and took interest in the cases because of this common denominator. Upon hearing the last place the herb was gotten from was Nodium Street, Knox's curiosity took him there. For some hours after his arrival, he noticed nothing special about the place except the visitors he kept spotting. He shuffled between thinking about whether the visits were suspicious or not and landed a pick when he noticed the scared man run out of the building, screaming monster. He didn't understand why this person was fleeing until the flame-engulfed monster ran out. It was his first encounter with the beasts and one to remember, making him spend several days thinking over it, until he came to the conclusion that the alpinus herb and the monsters were connected. Fate smiled upon him when she led Ethan to contact him on the count that there were suspected narcotics in Brunel Village. He was most concerned after reading it had something to do with Cherry Sinclair, the woman who took down a monster with an axe. In the present, the master planner starts becoming wary of Knox, since she's noticed he is giving off an unsettling vibe similar to the one Ethan flags around. When it comes to the police officer, he understands the man is borderline nice and only chasing her because he is doing his job. The doctor, on the other hand, has no reason whatsoever to chase after her, so she has to be careful around him. Fulfilling his request, the two get to talking in private, and he starts by breaking the ice, talking about the mansion and how he is shocked she is staying in a place like this, before straight up asking what she is really doing here. He is especially curious about her desire to grow the alpinus help, a question that makes her heart skip a beat. Treating this as a serious matter, she gets to whispering and threatens to harm him if he continues to snoop around. She makes it clear that she isn't joking. It's the best way she can think of shutting him up. Instead of backing down, he persists, promising not to say a word to anyone, if only she'll tell him why she is here and what she is hiding in this place. He is willing to keep Ethan in the dark too, letting this die in the room since he loves secrets and how exciting they are. Suddenly, he claims to be joking, allowing her to buy it to an extent, before restarting the conversation on his desire to know what's going on. He is persistent, she can give him that, although that doesn't make him ally material. To shake him off, she comes up with the elaborate lie that she is doing this as a hobby. Her life was boring. She had more money than she needed, so she decided to go thrill-seeking by doing all this. Pleased by her excuse, Cherry pats herself on the back. Meanwhile, all her excuses do is crack Knox up. Amidst laughs, he admits that she never fails to surprise him with her answers. His response comes as a surprise to her because she thought nobles weren't okay with lavish flaunting of wealth. He replies that he is different, as he disagrees with status quo and prefers uniqueness over etiquette. He hates being bored. It's the worst. After giving them what he feels is enough time, Ethan walks in, wanting to know what the duo are laughing about. Cherry can't believe he slipped her mind. The way they are pestering her is starting to drive her crazy. What is this? Under all this tension, it looks like the men are going for each other's throats. Oh, they actually are, as Knox throws the first blow, calling Ethan a hindrance to their conversation and offering to throw him out for her. Refusing to back down, the police officer claims what he is doing is weird, trying to kick him out when even he isn't close to the lady of the house. Instead of backing down, Cherry fans the flames, emphasizing that in line with Ethan's logic, they aren't close as well. She tries to take the blame for bringing men she isn't close to into her house, but he isn't having it, according to him. He is a police officer. While Knox admits he isn't fond of him and wants to get rid of him by kicking him out, the officer reveals he isn't a big fan of the doctor either, but as they continue to lock horns, she recalls they had an even worse relationship in the book. Old classmates, one the youngest of a noble family who valued the dignity of nobility, while the other was a thorn in his side for despising nobility, even though he was a true noble. The petty rivalry usually led to fights, since Knox always poked the bear, and Ethan, the bear, didn't take it lightly. In the end, they have to put a stop to this childish nonsense. Seeing that neither of them want to stand down, Cherry is forced to step in, politely asking Ethan to step aside for a bit so she can talk with Knox. Defeated, he tries to contest, only to get shunned by the star candy. She is tired of the nuisance they are causing in her house and promised to talk to the doctor briefly. While she is at it, she permits him to take a look outside. Of course, Nox snickers triumphantly as he watches his opponent leave soberly, waiting for him to go before suggesting Cherry sit with him to allow them to discuss better. At the start of the discussion, he asks how much she knows about the alpinus herb, a question that she knows has a deeper meaning. Doesn't change the fact that she doesn't know much about it, and that doesn't stop her from claiming she just happened to come across it on the road and pick it up. The lingering silence following that statement lets her understand he is suspicious of her, making her think she made a mistake by sending Ethan away. Having him around was reassuring. Plus, this man isn't an officer. She recalls she has to be wary of him, until he promises she can ease up around him. He doesn't want her to be nervous because he is as favorable towards her as Ethan is. Listening to that explanation makes her even more uncomfortable. He has no reason to be nice to her, so why is he? Wasting no time, he makes his intention to help her clear, adding that although he doesn't know what she wants to do, he wants permission to watch since he is sure it'll be interesting. Even though she needs all the help she can get, Cherry turns down his offer, claiming she doesn't need a hand. He thinks differently. He knows she wants to plant the alpinus herbs, and she is going about it all wrong. She plans to fertilize the land, wait 2 weeks and plant it, yet here he is providing a different way for her to do it, since the herb has a unique cultivating method, as opposed to other plants. How unique? Well, they grow when you feed them insects. Precisely speaking, the roots absorb nutrients from insects to grow, and not just any insect. They fancy centipedes and spiders. The thought of eating a herb that eats insects almost makes Cherry barf, a reaction that cracks Nox up so hard that he almost falls from his chair. He is enjoying this, that's for sure, and continues, stating that she must plant each herb on a pile of dead insects, regularly renewing the insects to help them grow well. Cherry weeps at the severity of the trial before her, especially because even though she doesn't want to do this, she has to. Seizing the opportunity, he advertises his services once more, offering to help with cultivating the plant. Initially, she refuses, her reason being she just hates bugs, not enough reason for her not to do the cultivating. In a flash, he wins her over with his suggestion to not only cultivate the herbs and ensure they grow properly, but also go as far as catching them himself. He rounds it up by offering to share some basic medical knowledge along with all the things he already intends to do for her. He's tabled an offer too beneficial to turn down, but she has to ask why he is so enthusiastic about helping her out. His answer is simple. He is thrill-seeking. This should be fun. He likes anything that's fun. A cheesy but plain reason indeed. She could turn him down really, but she decides to welcome him aboard, promising to trust his skill and have fun too. Nox, with a bright smile, promises to do his best, while she thinks of taking full advantage of the situation. She is the master planner after all. Now that that's settled, she hears out to search for Ethan and finds him putting his manly frame into good use. Watching him work under the setting sun makes Cherry's heart unintentionally flutter, to the extent that all she does is stand there, eyes fixed on him, until he notices her and asks if she is done with her discussion with Nox. He is curious about whatever made them giggle so much before his initial interruption, but notices she doesn't seem to be listening to him. Anytime now, Cherry, get a hold of yourself. The instant she does, she asks what he was up to, forcing him to point at the visible logs of wood and the stubble in the direction he just left. He'd helped her chop firewood. Even though she doesn't thank him, she gives him a pat on the back for handling it, pointing out that she was about to deal with that before she got dragged away for no just cause. Switching gears, Ethan asks about their conversation. All he could hear was laughter from outside. Having no reason to hide some details of their conversation, Cherry lets him know Nox offered to help her grow some herbs and will resume his duty the following day. Ethan can't believe this, but she is too busy observing the wood to notice his displeasure. Refusing to go quietly, he asks if he is also to come tomorrow. For some reason, she doesn't know what he is talking about. He is then forced to explain that she had asked him to work as a laborer. Amidst trying to control her fluttering heart, she permits him to go for the day and come back tomorrow, preferably to handle firewood again. He doesn't mind. Weeks go by. Everyone at the mansion is working nonstop, yet it looks like Cherry isn't getting anywhere. She would have been more behind without the extra hands than she is with the help she is getting. Acknowledging that she might not have everything done before the end of the world, Cherry decides to prioritize the most important tasks she paid extra for to ensure they finish as quickly as possible. Deciding to take a break, Cherry pokes her head out for some fresh air. Outside, among the workers are the hotties Ethan and Nox, each handling their business while looking tasty. She takes in the sight, smiling about the caliber of manpower her money has gotten her. Eagerly, she asks the men how work is going. Only Ethan responds. He is almost done and wants to know where he should stash all the wood. Cherry instructs him to bring some inside and leave the rest outside. Taking note of that, he thinks he now has to focus on the pile he'll gather and take inside. Just to be sure, he asks for the amount of wood she is planning to stock up. The amount they already have could be used to set the entire village ablaze, he says, although she thinks he is exaggerating. Pointing at the humongous pile of wood makes Cherry swallow her words, pretend the conversation isn't happening, and leave claiming she has more work to attend to. Even after she wishes him good luck, it looks like he is harboring some level of suspicion towards her. Inside, Cherry returns to work, thinking about how Ethan is probably working for her to get information. This is funny because there's no evidence here linking her to any illegal activity. For her sake, she hopes to use him as much as possible before the apocalypse arrives. She is having a grand day, really, until she notices a door open on its own and a weird aura coming from behind it. It's the door leading to the room with baby supplies. Earlier on, she had cleaned this room and closed the door, just to be sure everything is fine. She has a look at it one more time and there's nothing funky about it. Thinking she must have been imagining things, she turns to leave. Stopping her is that foul aura from earlier. It's back and more gruesome than before. Yet when she turns back, it's just her in the warmly lit room. From the rocking chair in motion, she assumes it must be the wind. This is a romance novel after all. The aura made her fear she got stuck in the wrong genre. Focusing on the chair now, she realizes that all the cleaning she has been doing pointed out the fact that a lot of people used to live in this mansion once upon a time. It doesn't seem like the place was vacated that only ago. There's dust, yes, but look at items like this chair. Wait, forget all that, the name Seagrave is inscribed on it. That's the name of the hero family, right? I mean the protectors. Cherry recalls that owing to their status, their family name was always used on baby products. Interrupting her train of thought is Ethan, who was supposed to be dealing with Wood. She asks if he is done, almost. He stopped when he noticed what she was carrying and came to find out what was going on. She replies that they are items from the baby's supply room on the second floor, which he sets down for the workers to take away. Observing her, he grows more curious about her plan for the mansion. She repeats what she told him earlier. It's her personal vacation home. That lie Karma frowns at and sends Wood crashing down at her. Saving her is none other than Ethan, who pulls her into his arms, leaving her wondering what feeling she is experiencing as they fall gracefully. He's fast, I'll give him that, but while she recovers from shock, the workers scramble around, worried more about the materials and blaming her than they are about her safety. She should be glad her life got saved, really. So why is she busy thinking about how quick his reflexes are? Ethan, after confirming she is okay, turns to the workers. He barks at them for being so careless that they almost got her hurt. Going forward, he wants them to be more careful when dealing with dangerous items, for the sake of those around. He signals that he is watching them, leaving Cherry to wonder when this stern police officer got a soft spot for her. She thanks him. But things get even more confusing when he declares that as long as she isn't hurt, he is fine. This little show of heroism makes her want to recruit him, not just for his skill, but because he'll be an asset to her later. It's a shame she can't, though. Oblivious to her thoughts, Ethan gets up to head back to work, only to be stopped by his nemesis, Knox. He had been watching the whole time and mocks him for becoming a lumberjack all of a sudden. Following the joke is his annoying laugh that helps Cherry see why Ethan hates him so much. Refusing to let this slide, he throws the axe at his feet as a warning, and reminds him that he made it clear he didn't want him loitering around him. Hands held high in a show of surrender, Knox replies that he is only here to carry out the duty he was assigned by Cherry. Using his words against him, she asks if he dealt with the bugs, but gets no response, meaning he might be behind on it. If that's the case, she wants him out of her house, a threat that motivates him to go get the bugs. Like that, she is able to prevent further conflict in this secret hideout that always manages to be chaotic. This is the calm before a storm Ethan knows nothing about, but he asks her to be careful in future. It's all because she almost got crushed earlier on. Seeing him so kind to her will take some getting used to, because he is the same man who looked like he wanted to devour her. Observing how quiet she is, he asks if her silence is because this is the first time someone is saying this to her, but she argues that it isn't. She always had Harrison and Susanna looking out for her, but she didn't know how much she missed them until they landed in this conversation. She tells herself that they are on their way here and hopes they'll arrive safe, but how are they really doing? Back at the Sinclair estate, it's almost sunset and Harrison has worked so hard that he ends up dozing off abruptly. He now sees that he's overworked himself in the process of rushing to handle the tasks Cherry assigned to him. Fortunately for her, he eventually got the letter she sent and it wasn't easy. He had to take it from the body of the deceased postman. He thinks now is the best time to check it out and see what his troublemaking mistress has been up to. In the letter, she discusses the weapons, how she wants it personally delivered by him and Ethan's possible transfer to Brunel. Harrison knows the mad dog from Benton well and recounts him looking into his affairs before his journey to Brunel. She wrote that he is doing the same to her and knows something about the smuggling of firearms and the chances of her being connected to it. Dwelling on the contents of the letter, Harrison thinks he went to Brunel thinking Cherry is behind everything. Sure, he doesn't mind him snooping around. He's a cop, is he not? But targeting Cherry is a different story. The young lady is his precious family and he will go through any length to protect her. He's known Cherry since he was a boy, about 15 years of age. At the time, he was in royal school. His father instructed him to greet the Sinclairs, the family who sponsored his studies in royal school, because he couldn't afford it. After his father was done exchanging pleasantries with the family, he cleared the floor for him. With a bow, he thanked them for their support and promised not to forget the grace they showed him. To his astonishment, Cherry's father asked him not to talk like that to family. Then and there, he named him Cherry's older brother. It was his first time meeting the future glam queen, yet her first words, "I need you, big brother," were all it took for her to win him over. It was his first time hearing the word family, and it came from the careless remark of a child with parents preoccupied with business, but it was enough to make him vow to protect her. From that day, he lived with the understanding that she was his sister and they were connected by a bond stronger than blood. He felt secure, they both did, until that security was taken away with Cherry's parents, who passed away in a car crash. She was left alone to drown in sorrow and reckless pleasure, yet he couldn't do anything other than stand by her and hope she wouldn't get involved in any dangerous thing. He told himself that he had to protect her because he was her big brother, and he was happy to see her smile, even though all he could do was watch. He was content, concerned, and observant, so much so that he noticed something about her had changed all of a sudden. She went from the media-focused woman she was to someone with eyes brimming with purpose, as if she had found a new goal in life. Spotting this change as her older brother, he couldn't refuse her. He gets ready to transport the weapons to Brunel himself, determined to transport it with extra security. Aiding him is a man named Jose, who he hopes has arrived. Chapter 16. Elsewhere, some white-haired dude gets pestered by one of his officials who keeps calling him repeatedly, assuming he is ignoring him. Meanwhile, he is just so focused on the paper. He keeps calling Whitey Your Highness, and now that he has his attention, he permits him to speak. The man, Alderson taking the floor, wants to discuss the matter he was asked to investigate. The one who sent him, Theodore Graydon, is the first prince and crown prince of Graydon Kingdom, a man with dashing looks and outstanding talent that gets him so many supporters, including the humble Alderson. He had sent this man to find out the whereabouts of Ethan and Knox, and he's come back with info that they are in Brunel. Interestingly, Theodore now has eyes on the village, eager to uncover whatever it is that made Ethan and Knox relocate to it. Too busy to handle it himself, he leaves Alderson to keep digging for the reason behind their actions. His aide, although he is ready to do as he is asked, wants to know why the Crown Prince is interested in the activities of Knox, a close ally to his brother, Prince Lyod and Ethan, from the Lancaster household. Gladly, Theodore explains that his curiosity began to grow when the incident that involved the plague and Duke Casey, a subordinate of House Lancaster, was quickly resolved. Now, Lyod's influence as second prince is important to him because of the force he pulls. He needs as many people as possible on his side. People like Ethan, who is very different from his father. He recalls all the fights he had with Knox back in school and acknowledges how upstanding and strict he is when it comes to his morality, even though that makes him very passionate. It's no wonder he had to pull him off Knox a lot of times. Taking note of that personality, Alderson thinks it should be a deal-breaker. The man isn't called the Mad Dog of Benton for nothing. He tries to hide his resolve, but Theodore can see he doesn't approve of Ethan. All the same, he wants his right-hand man to look into why those two went to Brunel. Added to all he has said earlier, he is well aware of the fact that those two cannot live peacefully in the same village for no reason. The reason is busy treading the village streets with a cart full of spears, while the villagers watch her in awe. She soaks in their adoration, since she loves being popular, and despises anything that takes the spotlight from her, like our boy Knox. All the women in the village are wrapped around the finger of the doctor, and she can't blame them. Added to his badge is how much of a hottie and a smooth talker he is. Along with his charisma, a sub-male lead who is second only to Theodore, the main male lead. Deep in his looks, Cherry can sense much more, turning her gaze from him when Ethan approaches to ask what she is up to. Audaciously, she declares that they are weapons, not firearms, and she plans to use them to protect herself, since she lives alone. She says that, sure, but the amount is just too much for personal use, by his standards. She fears he is about to ask her why she needs so many, and has no intention of answering that, her reason for wanting to split. Before she can, he stops her, wanting to know if there is anything for him to do at the mansion. He shyly asks if she needs more firewood, a strange question coming from an upright officer who was once on her tail. Anyways, he already gave her 2 years' worth of firewood, which is enough. To her surprise, he asks for permission to assist in other matters in the mansion. Fearing he might be doing this just to get intel on her, she looks to warn him to stay in his lane, when Knox conveniently marches into the conversation. He is eager to join and wants to know what they are talking about, but she queries him for not being at the clinic right now. Eagerly, he claims he closed the clinic early today because everyone is so healthy. Reclaiming his time with Cherry is Ethan, who Knox asks to put down the weapon he has in hand. She doesn't even see when he pulls it out, and in the end, the men argue with each other, prompting her to want to ignore them and return home. It isn't easy though, they just get louder and louder until Knox makes the mistake of dragging her into the chat by claiming she had personally requested his assistance. Swarmed with the urge to hurt them both, she orders them to either shut up or get dropped from her service. She is a busy woman with a lot of work to do, ready to say more if not for the familiar voice that calls to her. At the end of the call is Susanna, her angel who will save her from this doomed situation. Merely seeing her makes Cherry tear up. Forgetting the nagging men instantly, she runs to her maid and traps her in a hug, followed by a question about the trip. She hopes it wasn't too tough, and it wasn't. She is surprised, however, by how remote the village is, although she is certain she can get used to it. Her joy is that they'll be living together, though she wants to know what's up with the lousy men. Cherry dismisses all talks about them, suggesting they focus on getting her settled in and not her workers. Hurts, right? Even Susanna doesn't see them as workers, but she claims they keep entering her house without invitation, something workers do. It's the wrong time to be either Knox or Ethan, but they don't even know it as they offer their services, even after she ignores them and suggests she and Susanna go on a tour. As they refuse to have shame, she decides to disregard them even more, assigning Ethan to fix the walls or something while he wants Knox to look into the medical herbs. She'll be off hanging out with her bestie/maid. At the Cherry's happy house, the maid is taken aback by how much is in order. She is so impressed that she admits Cherry is amazing. Initially, she thought the house was a haunted house. It gives off that vibe. She could have worked on the exterior, but she hasn't had the time. She did have the time to work on Susanna's room, getting her the best room possible. A fact that makes the maid bubbly. It's a good day, really, and could have been better if Susanna didn't feel uncomfortable about the fight going on at the gate. It's Ethan versus Knox again, a battle Cherry is used to. It's a romance novel. Male leads going at each other is very normal. She decides to ignore them and discuss the platform at the entrance. She claims it was built for observation, praising the view from up there. Susanna is glad to hear that. She initially thought Cherry was preparing for war, a sharp observation, but the master planner pretends the maid was overthinking, especially because they are in an era of peace. That aside, Susanna has word for her from Harrison. He wants her to call him as soon as she gets to a phone. The closest one to her is at the station, so she will hit him up when she gets there. While she is away, she urges her trusty maids to unpack, and that's what she'll do. Both ladies have things to handle, but little does she know that Ethan notices her strolling off. To much of her discomfort, he follows her. You'd think it's because he's a policeman, but she thinks it's something else. At the station, he lets her know they don't just let anyone use the phone, a detail she thinks he missed, since she made calls from the station various times in Benton. That statement earns her a cold stare from him, along with the assurance that the only reason why they let her have her way was because of her Sinclair name. She didn't see it that way, but even if that's the reason, she is still the same Cherry Sinclair. She expects the same favor from the Brunel officers. The moment of truth comes when the inspector steps in, seeking to know what's going on. Ethan tells the happy fella about Cherry's intention to use the phone and gets stunned to hear that it's allowed. All the villagers are free to use the station phone. Sweet, sweet victory, and she doesn't fail to rub it on his face. Once she is done, she goes over to the phone, leaving him to ponder the contents of the handbook that forbids civilians from using the station phone. He thinks she is listening to that nonsense, but she is already on a phone call with Harrison, who informs her that his trip will be delayed by 4 days. His reason is the effort it takes to carry out her requests. She is unhappy about the delay, but he calms her down by promising to inspect the interior of her new home that she constantly boasts about handling herself. As a grown woman, she thinks that's him still treating her like a little girl. The call is almost over, and she thinks she is in the clear, until he tells her he'll love a thorough explanation for the 100 million gold loan she took. She thought she'd be free from explaining for a while. I thought she would too, but that's by the way. The most important matter now is a certain request she made concerning a certain someone. He thinks it's best she forget about it, to prevent them from poking a sleeping bear. His words, though it code, help her understand that he is talking about Ethan and her request to send him back to the capital. She can now see that this will call the attention of the Lancasters, and they aren't a foe she wants to go toe-to-toe with. She permits Harrison to back down concerning that matter, admitting that she also expected it to be impossible. She admonishes Harrison to take care of himself, claiming she is okay because no one other than Susanna has come here looking for her. He offers her the same advice, desiring that she take 3 square meals a day. It's good Susanna is here to make sure that happens. Cherry, after the call with her older brother, smiles at the thought of him being the only one left to join her in the safety of Brunel before the apocalypse. Her maid's move feels like a burden lifted off her shoulders. On her way out of the building, reassured, she is stopped by Ethan. He wishes to know when Harrison is joining them, stating that it shouldn't be wrong for him to ask, but she thinks otherwise. For future purposes, she wants him to know she doesn't want him having unnecessary interest in her family. She thinks it discourteous to ask a lady about her private life, and that gets him thinking. He believes he made another mistake, though the talk about family reminds him of his adoptive sister Aurora. He hopes she is doing well. Honestly, she is doing just right and is so full of energy that she is turning the estate upside down, pissed that he hasn't reported anything to her about her savior that night. She really wanted to show her gratitude to the cool lady, the maid, who wasn't there that night, tries to calm her down, stating that her brother seems to be taking longer than expected in Brunel. Talk of the village piques her curiosity. She wants to know where it is and is told it is a small village that can't be accessed by train. She thinks it is a mystery, her brother's interest in such a place, and decides she wants to go there too. Oh my, everyone is coming to Brunel, all the characters of the novel, one by one. But Aurora's trip might be delayed or even denied based on what her father is saying. The state of affairs is unstable, and he doesn't even want her to leave the house where she is safe. The young lady is forced to play with his emotions, asking why she, his adult daughter, has been forbidden to leave the house when her brother did just that. For her sake, he informs her that Ethan got assigned to a station in Brunel Village, the reason why she hasn't seen him in the past few weeks. Out of nowhere, Duke Lancaster gets curious and asks Aurora if she knows why her brother suddenly started rebelling against him. Without sugarcoating anything, she lets the old man know that Ethan never listened to him, to begin with. She teases him for being worried about his son, which is unlike him, making him feel all odd inside. The Duke agrees with his daughter, accepting that he worries for his boy, although he thinks it's high time his rebellious phase came to an end. He is a full-grown adult now, not just some teen. Aurora is astonished by her father's concern. She didn't know he could feel this way, Still, he has a solution for him. She wants him to stop trying to control Ethan, forcing his ambitions that are way too big on him. She explains that his actions are starting to make him the villain and urges him to be more careful, a statement he can't seem to wrap his head around. He thought he did everything right, so how did his son and daughter end up this way? In any case, she is still banned from leaving the estate, a charge she claims to understand while secretly harboring a plan to get to Brunel without her father knowing. She has no idea it's 12 days to the apocalypse. The journey will not matter by then, but Cherry's efforts matter. She has made sure everything is ready for the coming plague, even though it meant people treating her like a crazy person in an abandoned house and giving her weird nicknames. Abandoned House Missy, Star Candy Missy, and so much more. Enough for her to ponder how it got to this. At the moment, she is still preparing, getting that medical training Knox promised to give her. She is learning CPR with a dummy and hates it so much. Meanwhile, she was the one who banged his door all morning, begging him to give her the lesson. His clear reminder helps her recall she needs this training for the coming disaster. To get her going, Knox reveals he didn't expect her to keep up with his lessons so well, and she tells him that she studied a bit on her own because she has always been interested in the field. It's the excuse she uses to hide the fact that she got some of this knowledge from her past life. It works no less. He now sees her as a more interesting woman and suspects she took up residency in this village for another reason aside from the Alpinus herb. She can say the same for him. He is clearing here for a reason other than the Alpinus herb. Anyways, she can see another reason why Ethan dislikes him so much. He really is two-sided. In a bid to change the gears, she claims she is tired of hearing she is suspicious, and he opens up about that being the reason why he is interested in her. He loves the thrill, remember? He is also fascinated by her because she is the first woman who didn't fall for him at first sight. Following that remark is a long, awkward silence and eye contact more than necessary. She can see now that he teased her on purpose to try and get a rise out of her. It didn't work, his reason for giving up and deciding to get serious. The next thing on the curriculum is first aid. He plans to teach her how to deal with severe injuries, although he doesn't think she'll need that with him around. Pushing aside his self-praise, she expresses interest in learning the said methods, eager to know what she should be doing. For starters, he wants her to hold the leg of a mannequin, but she ends up pulling it clean off and asks if they've always been that fragile. She stares at her awkwardly because he claims they were built sturdy and are very expensive. To show she is sorry, she plans to buy a replacement, putting that extra money into good use and says a little prayer for the mannequin. That joke cracks Knox up badly. He didn't know she was this funny. Turns out she is, and an hour or so later, she is a noble lady who can apply simple first aid. From his clinic, she heads out, returning home when she passes by a man focused on a paper. For the first time in a long while, she isn't the big story or star of the front page. In her stead is news of a massacre in House Casey. Crazy. That's the first sign that the apocalypse has begun. The details about the incident are all but pleasant, and it means the virus will soon spread throughout the entire capital. She thinks it a bit saddening that this small village will not be peaceful for long. Thinking back on her past life makes her wonder if there is a way she can save everyone, but realistically, there is only so much she can do. The preparation she has made can only save those close to her until the apocalypse comes to an end. That's all that should matter to her, right? She is still lost in thought when a villager approaches her to ask if she is the owner of the happy house. He brought things she requested from the farm. He would have brought them in, but it's odd that he claims the produce is outside the village because there were too many for him to carry on his own. When asked if he is delivering alone, he replies that he had a porter with him when the journey began, but he got injured, costing him money in the process. He wants to know if she has anyone who can help with the heavy lifting, but she wants to do it herself and would have if not for Ethan. He swoops from out of nowhere, like her knight in shiny armor, to get a huge reaction from the farmer. She is aware he reacted that way because it's his first time seeing a hottie like him. Still, it's okay. She approves of his aid. It's a fine afternoon for lifting chickens, if you ask me, but for some reason, everyone is focused on Cherry. It's probably because she is doing all the heavy lifting, carrying more boxes than the men. She is offended by them pointing it out, but that doesn't stop the farmer to ask why a lady like herself is interested in rearing chicken. Her reason is that she wants to use the feathery creatures as pets, but they do not buy that. Avoiding further talks about her reason, she asks them to put the birds in their coop. While the farmer does that, Ethan sees the need to ask Cherry if she is someone impersonating Cherry Sinclair. If she isn't, he considers the possibility of her being a double who was forced to take the young noble lady's place. To think he'd be denying her existence along the line. She dismisses the rubbish talk, but the chickens, he can't see how rearing them makes sense to her. She wants him to respect her so-called hobby, but it's not just that. The amount of strength she exhibited, he read no article about her having supreme talents. To clear the air, she informs him about the supplements she took as a child. She hid her strength because it's not befitting for a noble lady to be so strong. He agrees with her on that count. They are having a wonderful conversation until Susanna comes in. Her reason for interrupting them is that she brought some of Cherry's luggage from the capital, when in truth, she feared Ethan was bothering her and just wants to make sure she is good. If need be, she wants to send him away, an idea the master planner is okay with. As she goes through the luggage, the farmer chases a chicken out of the mansion, only for his scream to resonate through the entire atmosphere. It alerts everyone and causes them to run to see the cause. Lo and behold, before them stands a several feet tall monster. Wasn't the apocalypse going to start in 12 days? What's a monster doing here? In Brunel? None of this makes sense to Cherry, but she can't stay still and think. She gets to stepping, disobeying Ethan's charge for her to back down by rushing to it, determined to prevent anyone from getting hurt by killing it with a weapon she got from Susanna's bag. One swing is all she needs to smash the towering beast, staining herself with its juices. Although it was dangerous, she is glad she took care of the monster. Now she has to face Ethan, who looks like he needs an explanation. To think the monsters also appear in the day. So, the excuse? She tries making up one, unable to get a proper one when her ugly friend gets back on its feet. She is warned to move ASAP, yet it's too late for her. She can't do anything now except die a meaningless death. To her aid comes none other than Vanilla. She was out hunting, thought she saw a bear, and tracked it here. Wow, she thought that beast was a bear, talking about selling it for gains. The ladies are busy with her, but Ethan, he notices the farmer, all on the floor coughing and fidgeting. He moves in to see if he is okay, but the man keeps muttering, "This has to be the work of the devil." Cherry, now focused on him, can't believe he is panicking for one monster when more are yet to come. She assumes he is just afraid until his coughing grows and everyone notices his injury. Ethan is in the dark when it comes to the virus and offers to take the farmer to the hospital, but Cherry knows better. She begs him to stand back for a moment, certain he is about to turn. Enjoying this so far? Comment Cherry below for the next part. Until next time, ciao.